Hi, I'm Jocelyn Benson, and I'm running to be your next Secretary of State. My parents were special education teachers, and so I learned from them at an early age how important it is that everyone have a voice and a seat at the table. And I started my career at the Southern Poverty Law Center, investigating hate groups and hate crimes throughout the country. And it was really there, living in Montgomery, spending time in Selma, Alabama, that I was instilled with this deep commitment to do everything I could to continue the work of those men and women who stood on that bridge in 1965 to fight for voting rights for everyone. So I became an attorney, ultimately teaching voting rights and election law right here in Detroit at Wayne State, where I later became the dean of the Wayne State University Law School. But before that, I clerked for Judge Damon Keith, who's been a mentor of mine, and I live in Detroit with my family, and my husband, who's a veteran. My time with him as a service member in the Army serving overseas was also very informative in my own recognition of how much work we still need to do to ensure all of our service members and their families and our veterans are protected and served effectively. But I'm running for Secretary of State because I believe the people of Michigan deserve a Secretary of State who will work as hard as they do. For the past several years, we've seen increases in driver's fees, up to 20% in the past year. And just like when I was dean and I put a freeze on tuition, as Secretary of State, I'm going to fight against driver's fees that are unfair increases on our working men and women. But I also know, living in Detroit and driving up and down Livernois every day, that in some branch offices throughout the state, citizens have to wait in line hours sometimes just to have a basic license renewal or get their place renewed. So that's why when I announced I'm running, I issued a 30-minute guarantee. I believe you should be able to get in and out of a branch office in under 30 minutes or less. And when I'm Secretary of State, I'll work to make sure every citizen, every person in this state has that type of access to their state government. But the Secretary of State also oversees voting rights and our elections for every citizen in this state. And we have a lot of work to do to ensure that here in Michigan, our democracy is living up to the ideals of its founders. We need things like no reason absentee voting, early voting, and a lot of the other basic conveniences that citizens in other states enjoy that we don't have here in Michigan because we haven't had a Secretary of State to fight for them. And I will do that. I'm also going to fight to ensure that our elections are secure and that you can trust the results of our elections. That's what you need from your next Secretary of State. And that's what we need to ensure occurs. Because what we saw in 2016 are serious threats to the security of our elections by foreign entities. And what we need from our next Secretary of State is a recognition that those threats did not begin and will not end in 2016. So as your Secretary of State, I'll work to ensure that when you cast your ballot, you can trust that it will be counted and that the results of the election are accurate. I'm Jocelyn Benson, and I'm asking for your vote to be your next Secretary of State. Thanks.